Hey team, so I wanted to discuss my story about joining the Army World Class Athlete Program and how I got involved with that particular prestigious elite unit in the Army. I had known about the Army World Class Athlete Program even before I got into the Army. I was originally planning to be stationed at Fort Drum, New York, and my dad somehow got my orders changed to Fort Carson, Colorado. My dad retired in 1991. And so I wanted to tell my story about the Army World Class Athlete Program and to give you some insight of the unit and what it takes to be a part of that unit. When I joined in 2007, I came in under what was called a Conditional Athlete Program. It was conditional athlete status, basically. What they were doing was giving soldier athletes with potential to make the Olympic team or to make a world championship team or qualify for the Olympic trials a chance, basically a one-year opportunity to go to the unit with full focus on training and no other responsibilities in terms of being in a regular line unit or support unit. And so this was my first opportunity to be a part of a unit where I could train 100% on preparing for my races. I was not one of those athletes that had phenomenal athletic capability who came from either West Point or finished their basic training and went straight to the Army World Class Athlete Program and ended up retiring at that unit. I was an athlete that had decent capability. I had a personal best of 51:53 for 10 miles when I got there. 2:43:36, so far too slow for qualification to be a part of the unit, because in 2007 you needed to run at a minimum of 2 hours 22 minutes flat for the marathon. And so I was going there as a marathon athlete, and I knew from my 10-mile experience that I had capability to do it, to break that 2:22 barrier, but I needed to have 100% focus and be taken away from being in a regular line unit or a support unit. And so the motto at the Army World Class Athlete Program is soldiers first. And I'm an example of that particular motto. Like I said, I was not one of those types of soldier athletes that just had phenomenal capability right off the bat. I had been running from 1992 as a high school athlete to 1995 when I graduated high school. I competed in college, but had very modest times. I'd run 15:19 for 5,000 outdoors. I'd run 8:43 for 3,000 meters. I was not an athlete with phenomenal leg speed and phenomenal times coming into the unit. I continued to train and was, like I mentioned, I was assigned to Fort Carson in a support unit, a logistics support unit that was headquartered there in my first assignment from 2002 to 2005. I went to Belgium for 2 years with the Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, or SHAPE Belgium, which was about 30 minutes from Brussels. And when I was over there, I got a call basically from the Army World Class Athlete Program mentioning an opportunity to train full-time. There was a lieutenant colonel there at the time that was a triathlete that kind of introduced this concept of bringing on soldier athletes that had done things in the sport while on active duty or in the reserves to come to the Army World Class Athlete Program and to be able to train full-time to see if they could get a national qualifying time or an Olympic trials qualifying time or qualify for the World Championships or the Olympic Games. And I definitely credit that lieutenant colonel. I've never forgotten her. I won't say her name, but she knows who she is. And because she gave soldier athletes such as myself an opportunity to do something that I may have not been able to do had I continued to train full-time and trying to prepare for my races when I was in the military, trying to qualify for the Olympic trials. I ended up running, like I mentioned earlier, I came in with a 2:43:36 PR for the marathon. I left with 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 35 seconds for the marathon. So I'll tell you from experience that if you want to be a part of that unit, first you have to be able to complete all military training, period. Doesn't matter if you're coming in on the enlisted side, you have to go through basic training, you have to do your advanced individual training, or AIT as we call it. If you are coming in as a commissioned officer, you have to go either direct commissioning course, basic officer leadership course. You have to have all of your officer training completed to be officially qualified to be a part of the unit. But more than that, you have to have a national qualifying standard. You have to have an Olympic trials qualifying standard. If you go to the website of the Army World Class Athlete Program, it's armywcap.com. There on that website, it shows all of the specific times that you have to hit. If you are a middle distance runner or long distance runner, the list of events, Olympic events, and the times you need to hit are listed on there. I think 5K is like 13:32, 10K is around 28:05, the marathon's 2:15 flat now. Like I said, it was previously 2:22 flat, so it's much more difficult to get in the Army WCAP program now than it was when I was there. My first race for the Army World Class Athlete Program was the 2007 Cherry Blossom 10 miler. I ran 51:29, and I believe I finished around 24th place with that time. So it was an extremely fast time. I think the winner ran anywhere like mid 46-minute time. But that was my first experience with the Army World Class Athlete Program and training full time without any other responsibilities. I'm used to, going out to the field and working a full-time job. It was very strange to be able to go to that unit, to have that support that the Army provided to me, and have my own coach, which was Lisa Rainsberger. She was the 1985 Boston Marathon champion. I learned quite a bit from her, and definitely credit her and the training that I underwent in changing up my long runs and the things that I was doing incorrectly in the past. Those types of changes is what helped me ended up running, for me to end up running 2:19:35 for the marathon. And I finished in 4th place and the top American at the 2007 California International Marathon. And I finished that race with an Army singlet on on my chest. And I definitely, it was a very exciting time. I was focused at the time on qualifying for the 2008 USA Track and Field Olympic trials. And unfortunately, I missed the standard. I ran the 2:19:35 28 days after the Olympic trials were held. So breaking 2:20 was like qualifying for the Olympic team for me. Like I mentioned in other videos too, I didn't have a lot of talent. I had trained, what I had was work ethic. I had tenacity. I had the willingness to train for decades to get what I wanted. And I knew very few people, and I still know very few people to this day, that are willing to train that long in order to get a time or a performance that they're going for. I know everybody that watches these videos, whether beginner or advanced, have a high level of drive and motivation. And so I hope sharing this type of video in terms of how somebody that was that had average times in high school and in college could go on to earn an Olympic trials qualifying time. That 2:19:35 ranked me 62nd in the country here in the United States of America. We got about 350 million people, and there were only 63 athletes in the country in 2007 that broke 2 hours and 20 minutes. So for me personally, it was humbling. It was motivating, and it definitely gives me that additional drive to continue to pursue trying to run faster. And I never did run faster than 2:19:35. After I ran that time, I ended up transitioning from the Army WCAP program to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I was with the 101st Airborne Division. Again, back to a line unit. Soldiers first. That's the motto at the Army World Class Athlete Program. Now, if you look at the roster, it's soldiers that are soldier athletes that, again, have done all of the proper training. They deserve to be there. They're all Kenyan-born athletes. Some of them are Ethiopian. And I respected the change that the Army WCAP program instituted in bringing on more soldier athletes that could potentially make the Olympic team. And that is the end goal, really, and to medal representing the United States of America and our armed forces with that unit. And so, when I was there, we didn't have any Kenyan board athletes, but when I was transitioning from the unit, we did have one 212 marathoner that came in that I was training with, Robert Shirley, fantastic athlete. Robert had a sense of humor and would come out with me on my long runs, and sometimes would drive the truck or drive his car next to me, handing me water while I was doing my long run. And again, those long runs were extremely hard. They were not easy. Again, I always talk about running a faster, varied pace long run, following the week after by a nice, easy, relaxed long run. And so when he would come down with me, we would go down to Ellicott, Colorado. Ellicott is about just over 6,000 feet in elevation. It's about 25 minutes outside of Colorado Springs. This was, again, when I was stationed at Fort Carson. And flat dirt roads everywhere. And so I would always go out there and do my long runs. I want to also point this out because I think a lot of athletes are not doing this. When I did those long runs, I was not wearing training shoes for those faster, very paced long runs. I would wear training shoes on my easy, relaxed long runs. But when you're doing your faster paced long runs, wear racing flats. Get used to what it feels like to run fast over a long period of time, but make sure you're giving yourself 48 hours of rest after those hard, varied paced long runs, because they're extremely taxing on the body. They will probably be one of the hardest workouts you do. But those were the types of workouts I was doing that helped me fully qualify to be a part of the Army World Class Athlete program. Again, I came in on conditional status. I needed to leave with a minimum of 2 hours, 22 minutes flat for the marathon. I needed to earn an Olympic trials qualifying B standard time to be officially a part of that unit. And so it was December 5th or 6th of 2007, I ran that 2:19:35. That performance qualified me to come back to the unit. What I did was, after the Olympic trials were held, I remained on with the Army World Class Athlete program as a staff member, assisting the supply sergeant with ordering equipment for the soldier athletes that were at the unit. So I stayed at the unit on staff for about 7 months, and then submitted for officer candidate school at Benning, Georgia. Went to OCS, applied while I was there to come back to the Army World Class Athlete program, and was very fortunate that my branch allowed me to come back. I trained for about another 8 months to improve upon that 2:19:35 that I ran in late December in 2007. Never did quite improve that time. I ran 2:36 was the fastest time I ran. But I would always go out like 1:08, 1:09 the first half. I was always gunning for that, sub 2:19 time. And, for the 2012 Olympic trials, the minimum time you needed to run is 2:19 flat. And I believe even today in 2021, the minimum standard is 2:19 flat. So it hasn't really changed in terms of USA Track and Field and in terms of what you need to run in order to qualify to compete in the Olympic trials. But the standard to get into the U.S. Army World Class Athlete program as a marathoner now is 2 hours, 15 minutes flat, or about 5:11 per mile. So the standards have definitely become more strict. You have to be very, very focused and driven to be a part of that unit. And the problem is there's not many soldier athletes, American-born soldier athletes in the entire armed forces that can break 2:19 or 2:20, even under 2 hours and 20 minutes. You may find maybe 3 to 5 soldiers every 10 years or so, or armed forces members, or that can run that fast or faster. So I see what the Army World Class Athlete program has done, and why they're bringing more Kenyan-born soldier athletes to be a part of the unit, because of course they want to get soldiers onto the Olympic team. And we've had some phenomenal athletes at the Army World Class Athlete program over the years. When I was there, we had Lieutenant Colonel Dan Brown, who was a sub 4-minute miler at West Point. two 11:35 marathoners. So he ran, 8 minutes faster than I ran for the marathon. Two-time Olympian. Now we have Specialist Paul Chalimo, who's now, running for Nike. Olympic silver medalist, Olympic bronze medalist, world championship medalist. One of the best, if not the best, soldier athlete we've ever had at the Army WCAP program. So again, it was an incredible experience for me. I definitely encourage any Armed Forces member to apply. Go to armywcap.com, look at the standards. You have to meet those standards in order to become, to be able to go to the unit. And of course, you have to be current on all of your training, either as an enlisted soldier or as a commissioned officer. Example, like I said, you have to go through basic training. If you have the qualification standards and you're not yet in the military, you have to obviously go to a recruiter, go through basic training, finish your advanced individual training, apply. I would apply definitely while you're in AIT, prior to giving the unit some time to process your paperwork. But if you have the standards to get into that unit, do it, because they provide everything to you. You have coaching, you have sports medicine, you have strength and conditioning. I had my own strength and conditioning coach when I was there. And a lot of that, I credit to breaking the 2-hour and 20-minute barrier for the marathon. It was an extremely difficult time. It's very hard for even athletes with a ton of talent to run a time like that. And, it was just a huge opportunity to go there and not have any other stress on me. And, again, I continued on training even after I left the Army WCAP program. I went to Fort Campbell, which I mentioned before, with the 101st Airborne Division, one of the most difficult, toughest units to be a part of, and ended up running 2:26:42 for the marathon, my second fastest marathon, at the 2011 Monumental Indianapolis Marathon, where I took 5th place. So again, oftentimes we perform our best, or we do our very best in our performances and in our races when we have other responsibilities. Sometimes when you have everything catered to you and you're not focused on anything but training, sometimes you still don't perform as well as you would if you were working a full-time job or going to school or you had other responsibilities. The Army WCAP program is phenomenal, but there's a lot of downtime too. So you have to, stay busy. When I was in school, I was working on, my first master's degree at the time through the University of Northern Colorado. So I was busy. I was focused on training, obviously, but I was focused on the long-term vision that I had, which ultimately was to break 2 hours and 22 minutes. But I also knew that I wasn't going to be able to run forever, in terms of competing at the top level. So I was focused on life after running. So always focus on that as well. Again, the Army World Class Athlete Program is a phenomenal opportunity for any soldier athlete. They have a phenomenal team there. The current coach of the American Distance Project has really done a phenomenal job with the soldier athletes of the unit, as did Lisa Rainsberger with us. We had 3 of us came in on conditional status. Kenny Foster, who came in with the 2:28 marathon PR, left running 2:19:49 on the California International Marathon course. Kenny ended up running about 105:20 for the half. He ran 49:11 for 10 miles. The other guy that came in with us was Troy Harrison, who came in with a 2:28 or 2:32 and left with a 2:22. Our other female soldier athlete came in. Her name was Major Emily Potter. Emily is currently, now she's departed the military and is now a civilian, but she ended up running a 2:45 marathon time herself at the California International Marathon, qualifying for the Olympic trials. And it was a great opportunity. So if you have the desire to serve your country, serve the United States of America, or serve for a few years in the service, always know that opportunity is there for you. And if you have any questions, other questions or concerns about the Army WCAP program, or something related to what I was doing when I was there, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I will definitely reach back out to you. If you're a current service member, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm due to retire here in December next month, so it's going to be an exciting time. But I credit that time with the Army WCAP program as being one of the most exciting times, exciting units. a privilege to have been a part of that unit. So definitely, if you're a service member or you are a civilian, reach out to me anytime about the Army WCAP program. If you have any other questions or concerns, I will definitely reach back out to you. And I wish you all continued success in your training and your racing, and I will talk to you all in the next video.